In this video, I'm going to provide a little extra detail on the shear stress outputs available in Flood Modeller and some of the limitations to take into consideration. Shear stress outputs are available for our 2D simulations, and for how to add these outputs, please watch the video How to Output Shear Stress from Your 2D Simulations. A link to this video is provided in the description below. So initially, we can output the bed shear stress. This is the force exerted on the riverbed by the flow of water. As we might expect, when this force is low, our riverbed is unlikely to be affected. When the force exerted on the riverbed is higher, our riverbed may start to erode, and this sediment can then be transported by the water. The point at which this force is high enough to potentially erode the riverbed and cause sediment transport is the so-called critical shear stress. This is where our second output here starts to get involved, the excess shear stress. This is the difference between the bed shear stress and that all-important critical shear stress. If the excess is less than or equal to 0, this tells us our riverbed is unlikely to erode. If the excess is greater than 0, we have the possibility of sediment transport. We also have the option to output the Shields parameter. This can be used to predict dimensionless shear stress. Finally, our last option here is to calculate the stream competence. This is the maximum particle size that can be carried by the river. Now, one thing to note when using these options is that shear stress, which comes into play for all four of these outputs, is inversely proportional to the water depth. So with other variables fixed, lower depths will give higher shear stress values. In particular, this means as the depth goes to 0, theoretically, the shear stress becomes infinite. Now, in the software itself, there's a cutoff point. This is shown over in the Options tab here, and it's the wetting drying depth that's provided here. So this means that at depths of less than 1 centimetre, in my case, the channel is considered dry and the bed shear stress is not calculated. Finally, on to some limitations of these outputs. There are some situations where shear stress calculations are considered unreliable in that calculated values are known to not match the measured values. The first relates to the point we've just covered about those low depths, where some texts suggest results should be considered unreliable if depths get lower than 10 to 12 centimetres, so that's about 4 or 5 inches. The other situation relates to the particle size, where research has shown the outputs are unreliable for extreme sizes, so both for very small and very large sediment particle sizes, although the limits in each case are somewhat disputed. All of these details are provided in the technical reference section of the user manual, so please refer to this for further details. Thank you for watching this tutorial video on the shear stress outputs available in Flood Modeller. For further information, please visit www.floodmodeller.com.